Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're managing a commercial fleet right now, you already know the transition to EVs is no longer some distant future. It's literally the present. But there's this one major hurdle that's still keeping logistics directors up at night: charging infrastructure. So today, we're going to explore exactly how fleet managers can evaluate their options, contrasting the traditional fixed giants with this new wave of mobile disruption that's just completely turning the market upside down.
Just put yourself in the shoes of a fleet manager for a second. What actually happens when one of your delivery vehicles or logistics trucks just runs out of juice right in the middle of a route? Well, it's a total logistics nightmare, right? Missed deadlines, stranded drivers, frustrated customers, and an immediate financial hit. Reliable charging infrastructure isn't just about convenience anymore. It is absolutely the beating heart of your entire operation.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to kick things off with the core fleet challenge, run through the reliability criteria you need to look out for, check out the fixed infrastructure giants, and then we'll dive right into the mobile charging revolution and how artificial intelligence is driving its expansion.
All right, Part 1, the Fleet Challenge. Recent market data from the Luxman Energy Report tells us that charging station success rates have actually hit 86%, which, sounds like a really solid improvement. But think about that other 14%. When your business relies on razor-sharp logistics, a 14% chance of failure, that's just an unacceptable margin of risk. Range anxiety and these massive charging deserts, areas that literally have zero public infrastructure, they continue to be a massive threat to productivity.
Moving on to Section 2, Reliability Criteria.
So how do decision makers actually navigate this minefield? Well, every solid infrastructure decision rests on 6 key pillars. You don't just need a dot on a map, you need a guaranteed uptime, localized coverage where your fleet actually operates, charging speed that respects your tight schedule, transparent pricing, the scalability to grow with your fleet, and of course, 24/7 support. These are the absolute deal breakers that separate the top-tier networks from the rest of the pack.
And out of all those pillars, uptime is king. The industry data is pretty clear here. Top providers, folks like Kempower, have to set that benchmark at 99%, period. If you're managing a fleet, anything below 99% just straight up translates to expensive downtime and this cascading domino effect of delivery failures.
Which brings us to speed. The charging level you choose literally dictates your entire operational flow. Level 1, that's just not viable for commercial fleets. It's way too slow. Level 2 is great, but really only if your vehicles can sit parked overnight at a depot. But what if you're dealing with tight schedules and you need those quick turnarounds during the day? You're absolutely going to need DC fast charging. We're talking getting a battery to 80% in just 20 to 30 minutes. That speed is a total game changer for daily efficiency.
All right, Section 3, Fixed Infrastructure Giants.
Keeping those criteria in mind, let's take a look at the heavyweights currently dominating the fixed market. We are basically seeing 2 totally different playbooks unfold here. On one side, you've got Tesla. They're rocking a closed ecosystem. They control both the hardware and the software, giving you this incredibly reliable network of over 50,000 superchargers globally. But then, on the flip side, you have ChargePoint. They're going all in on a massive open network strategy with over 200,000 ports. They're super focused on modularity, letting fleets start small and scale up as they grow. So it's that classic tech debate, right? Seamlessly integrated reliability versus massive open scalability. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. It really doesn't matter how awesome Tesla or ChargePoint might be, because fixed infrastructure has some baked-in flaws. It takes 18 to 24 months just to build these stations. You have to deal with heavy utility approvals. You're entirely dependent on local grid stability, and, most importantly, they can't do a single thing for a driver who is already stranded in a charging desert. If your fleet needs agility today, waiting 2 years for a station to get built, that just doesn't solve your problem.
So that brings us to Section 4, the Mobile Charging Revolution.
If fixed infrastructure is just too slow, how do we solve for agility? Well, Anthony Ocarambito, the CEO of Be-Charged EV, hit the nail on the head. He says range anxiety isn't just about distance, it's about not knowing. And that's exactly it, not knowing if a charger will be available or if it'll even be functioning when you finally get there. The whole disruptive promise of mobile charging is to eliminate that anxiety by bringing the power directly to the vehicle.
And you know what? The financial markets are totally on board. Be-Charged EV recently secured a massive $7 million in funding. Out of that, about $3.2 million is laser-focused specifically on charging equipment to rapidly expand their mobile operations across the United States. So we're not just talking about a cool concept here. This is a business in absolute hyper-growth.
Let's connect those big investment dollars to real-world results. 30. That is the average response time, in minutes, that Be-Charged EV is delivering right now, with their newly launched emergency fleet services in places like San Diego County. Just picture this. Your truck runs out of battery, and in under 30 minutes, a professional mobile DC fast charger rolls up right to where you are. Pretty incredible. And their vision scales way beyond that. They're actually targeting the deployment of 1,000 mobile charging units. They are essentially building an empire to create the ultimate safety net for drivers and fleets. And they aren't just aiming for all 50 states. They're expanding down into Mexico, too.
How are they pulling this off? Through some really hyper-focused programs. Take their Apex 300 program. It targets underserved areas by organizing the rotation of dedicated units to fill the exact gaps that traditional networks just ignore. Plus, their partnership with Urgently is a complete game changer. It brings ultra-fast, modular Level 3 charging directly to drivers in emergencies through a 24-hour assistance network. Talk about peace of mind.
Which brings us to our final section, AI and expansion.
Okay, but think about it. How do you actually manage 1,000 mobile units efficiently? How do you know exactly where to send them before a driver even calls for help? Well, the secret advantage here is software, specifically Predictive Smart Charging, or PSC AI. This proprietary platform integrates directly with the vehicle's systems. It monitors battery levels in real time, knows exactly when a charge is dropping at an alarming rate, proactively alerts the driver, and can dispatch a mobile unit with a single tap. This kind of predictive intelligence, that's exactly what stops fleets from ever getting stranded in the first place.
When you put these two approaches head-to-head, it's pretty wild. Traditional networks, you're looking at bureaucratic battles with utility companies, 24-month delays, and being completely fixed to the grid. But mobile charging? Operational in days. Why? Because it requires zero grid infrastructure. It's completely dynamic. When demand is immediate, extreme agility is going to beat structural sluggishness every single time.
And hey, if you're thinking this is just a US-based reality, check out the data from their international expansion into Mexico City. Their operation down there is highly active, delivering 65 to 70 kilowatts directly on site. This means rideshare and Uber drivers are getting a full charge in just 20 to 30 minutes. That is an enormous financial benefit because it drastically cuts downtime for drivers who literally rely on being on the road to make a living. So, that leaves us with one final question for you to chew on as you map out your business's future. The options are basically laid out on the table. Do you go with the established, fixed networks, or do you lean into the disruptive agility of AI-guided mobile units? Ultimately, is your fleet ready to go beyond the power grid? Definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will catch you next time.